So one of the major features inside the premium maps and extras is the new weather component that's been implemented. Now, by default, as we are moving around the map and the map markers populate, you can go into a listing by tapping on it, and then you can tap on the image. It will bring up more information about the listing, and at the bottom of the listing you will see a 7-day weather forecast for that area. The first day, obviously, it gives you, there's a little drop down, you can see some more information about the weather for that day. And then each day after that just gives you a short or very truncated version of the weather as the days go on. So that gives you a 7-day snapshot of the area for every single listing. But we have more features inside the weather, and to access the weather functionality we tap on the hamburger menu, and you'll see a option here that has weather, and there's a little drop down. Sometimes if you've already tapped it, it will be expanded, and you'll see a lot of different options there. So the first one we'll go to is weather, and what this will do, it will give you the weather of your default location. So I'm going to add some other locations, and this is handy if you're traveling to certain locations and you'd like to know or keep abreast of the weather where you're traveling to. You can add those locations, and what will happen is if there's any weather alerts, you'll see in the top right there's a warning sign, and if you have added any locations to your favorites or your weather favorites, these weather warnings will pop up and you'll be notified whilst you're inside the app. So to add a location to my favorites, I'm going to tap on this map marker, and as you can see, it's got my current location. I'm going to tap and add a place called Harrington on the New South Wales coast. There it is. I'm going to tap on the plus, and now that's added that location. I'm going to add Barnsdale. There it is in Victoria. And one more, let's add Port Lincoln. Oops. There it is. Okay, so I now have 3 or 4, my current location, and 3 others that I've saved. And if I want to go and I wanted to see the weather in Harrington, I could just tap on that, and now it gives me a 7-day forecast. It gives me a 1, 3, and 5 day. There's a graph there as well. And it's very similar to the information that you'll see at the bottom of each listing. This weather, if I wanted to, the 7-day forecast, I mean. If you want to change your location, just tap on the map marker. We'll go to Barnsdale. Now it's giving me the 7-day forecast for Barnsdale. Now I want to have a look at some of the other options inside the weather. I'll tap on the hamburger menu. Rainfall. So because I've still got Barnsdale selected, it gives me a 7-day forecast of rain around the area. We will also see wind for Barnsdale, and like I said, you can toggle between your locations by clicking on the little map marker in the top. We can go to tide. We can see tides. Now obviously you'll see tides if you're near the coast. If you're inland, you'll need to change your location, but this is showing me tides for these areas. There's tide locations or tide areas that I can get tide locations for. And we can go to sunrise and sunset for Barnsdale. So what we can also do is we've got a radar, a rainfall radar, and when we tap on that, it will give us the rainfall for Barnsdale. And as you can see, there's a few patchy little bits and pieces there, and that's giving me the radar overlay real time for Barnsdale. I can change my location by going to there. I'll go Port Lincoln. It'll move me to the radar overlay for Port Lincoln. Just wait for that to load. There we are. So there's Port Lincoln. Bit of rain there, and what we can do, you've got 2 options down the bottom. On your left, you can toggle your map types. By default, it's set to satellite. We can go to regular map. It's hard to see the rain on there, or we can go to terrain. And this is pulling all the map layers in real time, so it's just loading. And that will be determined by the speed of your connection. And we'll just go back to satellite. So that's the map types. This icon on the right, at the present time we have a regional radar. Because we've selected our location up in that map marker area, we can toggle it to a national radar if we wanted to. So I'll just tap that, and what it will now do is give me a national radar overlay, and I can pinch and zoom as I need to and zoom around certain parts of Australia. Sydney's got a bit of action going on today. And one of the other options is we can see a national weather graph, so we can see what the weather roughly is going to look like during the day, and you can see that slider. So this is what the weather has been like in the last 24 hours, and again we can also toggle the rainfall by tapping that. So I'll just go back to the regional radar there. And so that's the weather component that we have, and we can drop that down just by tapping these little icons, and it slides that up and down. Now to go back to the maps, we just tap on the icon on the top left, or the arrow, brings us back to the map area, and we can resume our normal browsing inside the app. I just tapped on the crosshairs in the top right, brought me back to my default location. So again, to access the weather component, you tap on the hamburger menu, and you'll see the last option down the bottom is your weather. If you tap that, it toggles the drop down, and there's all the options. So feel free to have a play. It's a pretty cool little feature we've got. And like I said before, we have this alert function. I'll tap on the weather. You can see in the top right, Port Lincoln, see the icon now has a 1 on it. So that's telling me that Port Lincoln has a alert, and you can see it's got a marine wind warning. This has been issued by the Bureau of Meteorology, and it gives you a rundown of any weather alerts for any locations that you've added in your favorites here. Okay, thanks for watching.